G'day ladies and gents, we're back with another Swiss Army knife video. Today we're going to be looking at the Victorinox Soldier. Is this the ultimate EDC for enlisted personnel? Let's find out. Righto team, first tool off the rank, we've got the can opener as well as the 3mm flat driver. Useful for opening up a can, you know, you get them little cans of cheese you used to get in the wrap packs, or doing repairs on a radio or something like that. Yeah, stock standard most Swiss Army knives, can opener and 3mm flat driver. Righto gang, then follow on that, we've got the large flathead screwdriver, bottle opener, wire stripper, comes in that half stop as well as full extension there, and that is locking. Very useful when you're out in the field for prying, scraping, doing repairs on something. Yeah, just very useful, and you can have confidence in using it because you know it's not going to fail. This pretty much comes standard on all 111mm Swiss Army knives, but yeah, I do like that locking mechanism for this tool. Very useful. Righto team, then follow on that, we've got the large lockable one-hand opening blade. You can see Victorinox, and this is kind of interesting, they've gone with a different design here. We can see the front is actually serrated. They call it a wavy edge, and down here is your plain edge. It's actually chisel ground too, which I found quite interesting. Usually knives put the serrations here and the flat blade at the front, but I can see why Victorinox has done it the opposite way around. So you've got your serrated blade, which is good for heavy duty cutting. A lot of soldiers in the field, they're trying to cut stuff quick, like cam nets or hessian or something like that, and they're trying to do it in a hurry. So a serrated blade's good for that quick tearing through sort of action. But if you need to do fine detail work like a bit of carving, you've got it down here, which is where your power when carving, where you really put purchase on, and you usually come down here closer to the base, so you can get more power in it. So that's quite an interesting design. You can see down here in the tang it says 18. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's the year of manufacture they've put it on. So I know these are standard issue for the German army as well as obviously the Swiss army, but yeah, the large locking blade, very interesting. Righto team, then following that, we've got the Victorinox wood saw. Absolutely legendary tool. I like that they sweep up and they just rip through wood so easily and so efficiently. Very useful for enlisted personnel out in the field. They're trying to camouflage up a position or digging in, you know, supports for trenches and stuff like that. This will get a lot of work done. Not super large timber, but you'll get a lot of stuff done with this useful saw, and they're just so handy. I cannot rave about these tools enough. Victorinox knocks it out of the ballpark with their wood saws. So yes, that is delightful. It's actually quite effective for carving that. Look at that. That chisel grind on it works really well. As we can see, very handy for setting up a hotel hoochie, keeping that nice low profile. What time's pick it again? Okay, then flipping over onto the back, we have the number 2 Phillips driver, which is, let's be real, what else are you going to put on a soldier's knife? You're not going to be putting a corkscrew on there for enlisted personnel. Officers maybe, but there's no need for enlisted personnel to have a corkscrew. You're not going to be drinking wine out in the field anyways. So this is going to be handy for repairs, yeah, just general maintenance, and you can really put a lot of purchase and torque on this T configuration there. And yeah, I'm a big fan of the number 2 Phillips in place of the corkscrew. There we go. Then last but not least, we have the Reamer all leather punch. This is also a very useful tool, scraping fire steels, punching holes in belts, tarps or anything like that, very useful. And this will also be good for someone out in the field who's been pumping heaps of rounds through a machine gun, and that carbonised, the carbon that builds up on the gas plug. This would actually be a very effective tool for scraping off carbon that's built up on a machine gun gas plug, because some of that stuff can be hard to get off, but this would get it done because it's got quite an aggressive edge on it. And yeah, I do love this tool, Reamer all level punch. Furthermore, ladies and gents, let's have a look at the scales. Victorinox calls this polyamide, this scale material, and that's actually reinforced nylon with a polymer inlay, and it makes for a very sturdy grip even when wet, so it's not going to slip out of your hand. Quite robust. We don't get the toothpick or the tweezers, which would be handy for enlisted personnel out in the field, but they'll probably just end up losing it anyway. But it also keeps it very lightweight, and I love the look of it with that dark olive green with the dark inlay. Very, very sleek and unique. So there we go, ladies and gents. That's the Victorinox Soldier. But before we go, let's talk a bit more about the main blade. I see why Victorinox has gone down this route of the serrations at the front and the plain edge at the back. That's good for carbon, so you can still get the good purchase. And with the serrations, what that will do, it'll go blunt at the same rate as a straight edge blade. Me personally, I'm much more of a straight edge type of guy. This will go blunt at the same rate as a straight edge blade. However, it will retain its ability to cut once blunt more than a straight edge blade, just by using that brute sort of sawing motion. So I get why they've done it. They've tried to make it soldier proof. It's 90% there. In my opinion, nothing is soldier proof, but shout out to Victorinox for trying, 100%. Not only that, the one hand opening is extremely handy. And if you've got something like you're evacuating a casualty out of a vehicle strike or something like that, and you need to cut and remove the seatbelt, this is very handy for that, because a lot of emergency responders, the tools they use, their seatbelt cutters are serrated. That's just how it goes. So yeah, you can get a casualty out of a stricken vehicle or something like that, or affect self-recovery because it's one hand opening. You've got a busted arm, simply open the knife and affect self-recovery, self-rescue. I really like that. It's also left-handed opening, just like that. So if you've got a busted arm either side, you can still recover yourself and use it like that. Very useful. So I do like that wavy edge design, particularly at the top, because you can still affect some carving with the plain edge at the back. Really like the polyamide scales, super grippy, even when you're wet or wearing clumsy, bulky sort of gloves. That is a win in my book. It's much better than the one we got issued with the Australian Army, that multi-tool, that Schrade multi-tool. So this is far superior to that. Is it the ultimate EDC for enlisted personnel? It'd have to go damn close. If it had a pair of pliers, it would be really, really good. Because a lot of time there's that romanticism, you know, with, you know, army knives and all that sort of stuff. But 90% of the time, it's going to be a personnel out in the field. They've been there for days, weeks, or possibly months, probably haven't showered. They're tired, hungry, and ready to go home. This will make their life a lot easier, and this will last them a long time. Not only that, you get the corrosion resistance. Swiss Army knife or Victorinox, they've knocked it out of the ballpark with tools that don't rust. These things just don't seem to rust. Not only that, they've definitely perfected keeping it lightweight. So if you're stomping up and down hills, you've got your pack full, you're going to want to shave them grams down as much as you possibly can. I know people have gone to the extent of cutting the end of a toothbrush down just to save them a couple of grams, because it does make a difference. So shout out to Victorinox for keeping something like this nice and lightweight that's going to be handy to use when you're out in the bush, when you need a tool to serve you well. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Till next time, peace out.